What's up, guys? Welcome to another video. I am the Poetic Healer, and in today's video, we're going to be reading the poem The Observer's Natures. So, you know the drill, we're going to read the whole poem and then we're going to analyze it line by line. So, let's get to it. Watching the sun transitioning through the sky, wondering what it's like being a bird that high. While the breeze crashes against my warm body, I allow the silence of my mind to comfort me. Listening to the music of the universe rhythm resembles the steady tempo of my heart beating. Observing the trees dancing to the influence of the wind. When you sit in silence and close your eyes, then you can travel within. Staying grounded in my natural aura to feel alive. Now is the time to achieve your goals. Put procrastination aside. And that is the observer's natures. So the line says the observer's natures because I am observing my nature. You know what I mean? Everything you see outside of you is a connection of what is within you. So when I say the observer's nature, it's you observing yourself through the inside out. So it says, watching the sun transitioning through the sky, wondering what it's like being a bird that high. So it's all about imagination. So I was observing these things, and that's what inspired me to write this poem. But yeah, while I wrote those two lines saying, watching the sun transitioning through the sky, wondering what it's like being a bird that high, is I was pondering to myself, how do other species perceive existence? You know, do they look at the sun the way we see the sun? Do they look at the moon, the water, and the earth and the land the way we see it? And I realized no, because if they did see it like that, then they would have the same morals and same way of existing like we do. But they obviously don't, because some things are vital to them and some things are not. Like a bird, gold is not vital to a bird. You know what I mean? Metal is not vital to a bird. Things that are vital to a bird is twigs and sticks and things like that, because that is their existence. That is what they create for their homes. You know what I mean? So each species has their own way of perceiving existence, even to the way they perceive the actual shapes and forms and the vibration and the colors. So you have to realize that same thing with you. Within your mind, a mentality that you might have might be able to perceive that imagination and creation in a certain way. And then a different mentality might be able to perceive it in a more evolved way. You know what I mean? So it's the same thing that's happening within you is happening outside of you. The way a bird might see existence and the way you might say humans might see existence, the correlation is that humans might see it in a more evolved way. Just like within you, a mentality that you might see a situation might be more in a more evolved way that you can tackle that situation. So everything's connected. It says, yeah, watching the sun transitioning through the sky, wondering what it's like being a bird that high. So it's all about having your own perspective and jumping out of yourself and seeing how other things may see the world. And the more you think like that, and the more you think outside of the box within your mind, the more you'll be able to actually have more attributes within yourself and learn more things from the outside world. And then it says, while the breeze crashes against my warm body, I allow the silence of my mind to comfort me. So the breeze, just like you have thoughts and feelings and it's flowing through your mind, that's also how you have the breeze flowing from one position to another. You know what I mean? Certain areas you might get an inspiration just like that, just by being in that area, because the energy there in that force field will give you a different mentality compared to being in a certain direction or a certain area or location. You might get a different thought. You know what I mean? So each location you're physically in gives you a different ID. Just like within you, different ways of you thinking will give you different ideas, whether it's a high ID or a low ID, um, or an expensive or a condensed ID. Then it says, yeah, listening to the music of the universe rhythm resembles the steady tempo of my heart beating. So everything is contraction and expansion. Everything has a pulse. Your thoughts and feelings has a pulse. You know what I mean? Your experience is a pulse. Even you growing, that's a pulse. From you being a child to expanding to being an adult to expanding to being an elderly person before you pass on. And you know that's how the cycle works. So everything's a form of pulse. Everything's a form of expansion. Just like your heart is beating, just like this existence in this world is also expanding. You know, once upon a time, the way to travel was through horses and through elephants. Then that pulse expanded. Now we can travel through carriages. Then that pulse expanded, and now we can travel through cars. And then it expands and it keeps going because that's a pulse. So everything's a pulse. Even existence is a pulse. Then it says, yeah, observing the trees dancing to the influence of the wind. So the trees dancing to the influence of the wind. The tree also has fruits, just like we have fruits, our children. You know what I mean? So the tree has fruit. So the tree is also its own unique life form, and they're having their own existence in their own uh, situation. So, they wither and die just like the seasons, when the season comes, birth, spring, just like you have children, spring. Then you have the middle of summer, that's you being an adult. And then you have fall and winter, that's you being old and ready to pass on. So it's the same thing. We all have the same cycle, just in our own unique form of existence. And then it says, when you sit in silence and close your eyes, then you can travel within. So it's all about closing your eyes and traveling within, because that's where the answer and the inner voice is in. It's inside of you. That's why it's called the inner voice. So if you're always outside, then it blocks out that inner voice, and you're always going to be in the outside noise. And sometimes it's good to be outside and be in the outside noise, but also you have to balance it out by being in the inside noise also. You know what I mean? And then it says, staying grounded in my natural aura to feel alive. Now is the time to achieve your goals. Put procrastinations aside. So when you stay grounded, that just means being convicted in how you feel, being convicted in the way you think, being convicted in the way you perceive things. And when I say being convicted, I don't mean be stubborn and be stagnated in the way you think. It's very important to have an open mind and be open to other people's perspective and points and opinions and things like that. Because if you always have a closed mind, you will never learn from other people. And we're all here to learn from each other. That's the most important thing. We all have a piece to the puzzle. So it's very important to be grounded and be convicted in what you think, but at the same time, still be balanced it out with having an open mind and being able to learn from other people. That's the way you feel alive, because you're using that input and output energy, that electricity of input and output. You're learning from yourself and you're learning from others. And then he says, now is the time to achieve your goals, put procrastinations aside. So the more you're ready to put your goals and your vision into play, into action, the more you be able to overcome that energy of procrastination. And we all fall short to procrastination. You know what I mean? Sometimes you just be like, okay, I'll do it later on, or I'll do it another time. But the more you start making that a mental habit or a mental attribute for yourself, the more you'll be able to overcome procrastinations and be able to manifest your visions and your goals in a fastly manner. So yeah, guys, that's the poem for today, The Observer's Natures. Hope you guys were able to gain something new from those poems and learn something new from the analyzation of each line. And until next time, guys, I'll catch you soon.